I started this heart mosaic a couple weeks ago, and this is what I'm going to work on today with the theme of Valentine's Day. I have a couple pieces that popped out, so I'm going to repair these spaces that the mirror just came out because I used the adhesive sparingly. I don't want any of it squishing out beyond, so sometimes I have to go back in and just touch things up. So I'll do that first. I'm thinking I'm going to use this ceramic flower piece that this is vintage, and I don't know what it was originally used for. I think maybe a little figurine, but it has these loops on the back. Oh, you can pull them right off. They're like little plastic loops, so I'm not sure. Maybe it was some kind of barrette or jewelry piece. Anyway, those popped right off easy. I think this might be a fun centerpiece to build from. I'm thinking of Valentine's Day cards, of how they're lacy and they have dimension. I was reminiscing about Valentine's Day with my daughter because her classroom is planning their Valentine's Day party, and that was one of my favorite things as a kid growing up, is just baking my Valentine's Day box and planning the little Valentine's Day cards and all the little treats. It's such a fun tactile holiday. Mosaic is a great way to tie in those qualities of the old-fashioned Valentines. So that's the direction for this, that lacy, old-fashioned, vintage, cozy quality and having your Valentine's Day party or a little tea party. I have 2 equal parts of my A and B epoxy clay, and I'm going to mix it together thoroughly. So this takes a couple minutes. You want to mix it together thoroughly because if it's not mixed well, it won't cure. After mixing it, you have a good hour of work time with it for mosaics anyway. The first hour is optimal for working with beads and tile and such. Now I can add my color, and I keep a little tin of my paints. Okay, so I'm going to use the scarlet red oil paint. That's what I used last time. And there's not really a specific formula for tinting your clay. I just add color until I'm satisfied. So you can't really overdo it. But so I'm usually just aiming for the general idea of the color I want. I don't spend too much time on perfecting the color of my clay. Okay, so this is my mix of clay. I'm gonna roll a coil of the clay. I just tuck it right up next to the material I left off with. It's going right into that seam. I really like working with coils because I have a lot of control over how deep I'm building it, how thick it is in the frame, and how wide it spreads. I could fill in this whole open area, but since I'm not really sure where this is gonna go, I'm not gonna do that because what if I don't fill it all in today and I would have to remove all that clay? You have to remove any clay that you don't use because it will dry completely hard. It dries very hard, so you don't want it to dry anywhere where you plan to add more mosaic, completely in the way. Okay, so I got that done. And so for touching up at this spot, I'm just going to use this diamond glaze. I'll drop this one back in that spot where we lost a piece, and I'll let that dry. So you don't need a lot of glue, the diamond glaze. A little bit does a lot. A dot does a lot. You can use the diamond glaze as a way to fill in any gaps as kind of a resin, clear grout little treatment. I really like the diamond glaze for that. If it doesn't fill in enough the first time, you can go back in and do more later. Just let it dry and then go back and do another layer. So then for the next row, I wanted to use these rhinestones. The color is called Alexandrite. It's this beautiful periwinkle purple. It's an oval shape, and I'm going to use these around the perimeter here, and I'm going to lift them up a little bit so they overlap a little bit of green square that I put down previously. They're just not settling in as well as I want them to, so I'm going to beef this up a bit. So my clay is even overlapping the glass a bit. And what you see is what you get. And that's what I love about working this way, because so often with the traditional way of making mosaics, we have a lot of guesswork and we're trusting this process and then grouting it at the end, and then it can just go a whole different direction, which can be heartbreaking or satisfying. I've experienced both outcomes when I used to grout everything, and I really like this way of working with the epoxy clay and using it as a grouted look. By tinting it, we're creating a grout while using it as our adhesive. So this is what you see is what we get, and we don't have to do anything else to it. So I have a whole bunch of these flowers in different colors, and I think I probably wouldn't use the green, but any one of these would work. I'm kind of leaning towards the pink since it's more of a Valentine. The yellow is still a contender. Tell me in the comments what you like, yellow or pink. I'll just put this aside and think on it while I pull together some other stuff. We could put some of these in, blue and pink. This one's kind of been beaten up a little bit. I like this leaf. I think a lot about textures, and what I love about bringing in these metal components is that it adds a lot of variety. So we have the pink pearl, and then the stained glass and the rhinestone, and now we're bringing in some metal, and then the ceramic. This is a matte ceramic porcelain, and this one is a glaze, so it's a bit shinier, and then this flat back kind of cabochon has a pearl look to it. So I'm always thinking about textures and mixing it up, and this, maybe the yellow comes in from this one. And I love anything on a wire. It's just really fun to use because you can tuck it in and even have it coming off a little bit. I'm just going to pull a bunch of this stuff out and see. Maybe I use some, maybe I don't. I like to paint these flowers too. If they come white, you can paint them with spray paint, and they look so good. You can customize your own colors by painting anything. You could buy a bunch of brass pieces like this and then paint them to get a look like this. Customize your own pieces. I'm gonna just dump all this out and start with my biggest pieces. And then if I have extra space to fill in, I might just do that with some loose china pieces. Yeah, I like how that's fitting right there. So I'm just gonna start putting bigger pieces of epoxy down to glue them in with. And what's nice about epoxy clay is that you can build it up thicker and make things stand up higher in some spots than other spots. So if you wanted this to settle in further, then you wouldn't build this up as high. If you want it standing up higher, then you just keep building. You can build the epoxy clay up as high as you want. I love how this fit in there so perfectly. Looks like it was meant to be. There's all kinds of little serendipities like that when you're making mosaic. Things just fall into place. And then this leaf looks really nice like that. I am going to fill in behind it though, because it's going to be hard to fill in any open spaces when it's enclosed. So that's all filled in. Now I can just start plugging things in, and you can move them around too. So even if I put something in, I don't have to leave it there. I might just lay it out loosely. I love layering, kind of stacking things in, so that works really well there. So I'm going to commit that piece. This one I'm not sure yet, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And then that one looks really good there. So I'm not overthinking it. And I also know I can layer, so I can put something inside of this little flower right there. That's too big right there, and it matches too much with that one, so I'm not gonna, probably just won't use this one today. If you have trays of findings and doodads, things that you've saved up over the years and you're just not really sure what to do with them, this is a great project to use them up on. What's nice about trays is that you can just dump all of your random stuff in it, and it looks so pretty waiting to be used. I just have random little collections like this around my studio. Now I'll move on to this little cup. Has all kinds of fun stuff in it. That might be a good one. These are probably too big. These you can cut in half too though. Oh, this little rose is kind of fun. There's some other sizes in here. I feel like the metal is making it look too heavy. I want it to look like dessert and light and lovely, like a Valentine. I'm gonna look for some bigger, fuller pieces to pull in here, but let me know what you think.